All right, our guest today is aesthetic nurse practitioner that specializes in all types of aesthetics. She has become one of the top injectors with her skill set and her key eye. Please help me to introduce aesthetic nurse practitioner Vanna.
Hello, thank you for having me. Like Jonathan said, my name is Vanna Padilla. I am specialized in dermatology, and that does include medical, aesthetic, and surgical dermatology.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Now, I always like to start off each show by really asking, how has everything been since COVID-19?
Yeah, so there's definitely been a change. There was, I would say, a lull, especially in aesthetics, because it was, people coming to the office were needing to come in for medical reasons. We kind of backed off on aesthetics. I would say that that has completely and thankfully turned back to normal. We're still using precautions and sanitizing, wearing masks, things like that. So I would say things are back to quote unquote normal, I guess, as they could be, but we did see kind of a decrease in aesthetics during COVID-19.
Oh, wow, wow. That's interesting. And what part of the country are you in right now?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, technically Franklin, Tennessee, but
Yeah.
for most people don't know Franklin, so it's Nashville.
Nashville, Tennessee. Nice, nice. Now, my company is located in Miami, South Florida.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different here, but actually Nashville is really huge in aesthetics to my understanding. Could you explain a little bit more about that?
Yes. It's funny because I practice and inject in Nashville, but I kind of explain, and you'll hear this at conferences, aesthetic conferences. They're either New York or LA. But I think there are those two different types of aesthetic people in Nashville. There are plastic surgeons that inject, there are dermatology offices. You do have some boutiques, but there's definitely a high demand of aesthetics in Nashville, and that can be anything from injectables to lasers to plastic surgery. It just really depends on what their goals are.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So it's really big there, really big.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't expect that, but it's very interesting. It's very
Yeah,
interesting.
you think more in the South and not
Right.
on East or West Coast that, we don't get enthralled in that, but it's definitely the opposite of that. You have people coming in and, even in medical dermatology, they'll come in for their annual skin cancer exam or something, but it always kind of rolls into an aesthetic conversation, which I love because I love aesthetics. So, I love the fact that I'm in dermatology. I get to practice medical, but then it always kind of that conversation gets going in office as well with the aesthetics.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So take us back to the beginning. Like a lot of the providers I meet do come from a cosmetic dermatology route or come from like a general dermatology and then learn aesthetics. And then they either get into like an aesthetics only lane or a job that is mostly general derm and cosmetics. How did you
Mhm.
get started in the industry by chance?
So I actually started my medical career as a registered nurse in the NICU or
Nice.
neonatal ICU. And then I was looking to relocate to be with my husband in Nashville. And the first job offer I got was in dermatology. So I took it, obviously, and worked as a registered nurse in dermatology, more on the medical side, but I started to have a love of aesthetics. I've always had an aesthetic eye and been really drawn to things like that. But actually getting into the dermatology field, I started to ask my supervising or the owner of our practice, do you think that I could inject as a registered nurse? So actually, as I went back to get my master's or nurse practitioner degree, I was injecting aesthetically while doing that, able to still work full time and go back to school. So I started solely in aesthetics and dermatology. But then once I got my master's, I started to practice in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology. So I feel like I didn't take a more traditional route, but I've been more aesthetic provider than medical and aesthetic, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. It does make a lot of sense. My question to you would be, do you feel like it helped you a lot having that dermatology background? Because I know a lot of nurses just go into aesthetics and they just start injecting, and some nurses come from a dermatology background. Do you feel like it has helped you a lot?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's helped with anatomy because I actually assisted as a registered nurse on the medical side. I assisted in a procedure called Mohs surgery, MOHS, and
Oh,
that's a skin
yes.
cancer surgery. So I got to see firsthand, the depth of the skin, the depth of the subcutaneous fat, how, into the muscle. So I really, the arteries, vasculature is a huge thing in injections. So I got to see all of that firsthand in assisting in Mohs surgery. So I feel very, very fortunate to have been able to do that because we always worry about the risks, the side effects, but I feel like having that experience really just allows me to understand the anatomy even more than just taking a course or seeing the outside of it from just a skin perspective.
Oh, that's great. I am sure a lot of people can find a lot of value to that because a lot of providers that are entering school are wondering, hey, which route should I take? And that's a good example of how you can learn a little bit more, but still get to the same result. Amazing, amazing. So, what is your favorite procedure by chance?
I love Botox. I mean,
Okay,
I know it takes a little bit, that's a branded name
yeah.
for toxin. There's also Dysport, Xeomin, things like that. But I love Botox. I know it takes a little bit to set in. But when people come in and say, I want my nasolabial folds injected or I want my lips injected, I'm looking at their skin and their fine lines and wrinkles and thinking, if we just did a little bit of Botox, it would completely change the game for you. Not only does it relax those fine lines and wrinkles, but it also improves skin tone, skin texture. I mean, I just think it's totally a game changer. And I also think that so many people get it and don't talk about it. So when you see people on television or out day to day, even like friends that don't really talk about that kind of thing, and that you look and you think they look so good, but what is it? It's almost always the Botox.
Got you, got you. Why do you think that stigma still exists after? Because the aesthetic industry has been here for a while. Why do you think that
Mhm.
stigma still exists?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of reasons for it. You either have that taboo or tell all type of patient or person. I've personally always been the tell all. Have the mindset, let me share my secrets with you. Let me help you feel better about yourself. I think that there may be an insecurity thing. There may be like the stigma exists already and it's just hard to break. So they may feel less beautiful or less pretty if they chalk it up to, oh, it's only the Botox and it's not totally me. But I agree, there is definitely a stigma. I think that we should break it because I think it's okay. Obviously, I think it's okay because I administer the procedures and the injectables, but I think it's amazing to make yourself feel better with injections or skincare. I mean, makeup. I mean, we all do things that help improve our appearance. And I don't know why necessarily that stigma exists solely with injectables or cosmetic aesthetic procedures when we're all doing things like wearing makeup or working out to improve the appearance of ourselves.
Mm.
So I do think it's something that we should definitely be talking about.
I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. We all have enhancements, as you can say.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. What are some key tips that you would say of a great injector?
So I think communication is key. And I get this question a lot through social
Yeah.
media or friends or family that are not located within reach of coming to see me. They'll say, how do I pick my injector? Like, how do I know that they're a good fit for me? And it's a vibe, right? You get it. When you meet with your medical provider, when you meet with your aesthetic provider, make sure that they're answering the questions that you're asking to your liking, that they are telling you the scary things like the side effects of injecting fillers, possible vascular occlusion, things like that. It's not fun things to talk about. We don't say those things to deter you from doing it, but I think it's our job and it's our duty to let you know the potential of it because I've had other people come to me and they'll, for instance, say, I don't ever want my forehead injected with Botox again because I didn't like the way that it felt. And in talking with them more about that, it's, oh, I didn't realize that you could inject too much in the forehead, or it could be injected a certain way to make your brows feel heavy. So I think finding someone that's going to talk you through all of your concerns, that's going to also be really honest with you about potential side effects, even if it is scary, but then also someone that's going to tell you, hey, you don't need that. Or, hey, I know you might want your lips injected or your nasolabial folds injected, but here's the overall look of a face. And I think you would actually benefit from your temples being injected or your cheeks being injected. That would give you a more youthful look. So, someone that's really knowledgeable, that's also able to effectively communicate that knowledge to you.
Wow, amazing. No, I couldn't agree more. Like I've talked to some dermatologists even, and they said it's a good balance between really speaking to your patient and understanding and making them understand what you're doing,
Mhm.
and also guiding them through the process to make them comfortable. So I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. Amazing, amazing. Now I wanted to dive deep into social media. I've been seeing you on social media. That's how I found you. I love your
Yeah.
videos. They're very informative, but they're very like cool and interesting to watch. How important is social media, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I think social media is a huge marketing tool, but then also a way to connect, right? That's how we connected.
Yeah.
So at first it started of, friends, family posting. But then when you tell people about what you do and they seem genuinely interested in that, you want to find a way to reach more people authentically. And I think that's what social media is. It's a way to spread education, positivity, and your knowledge, and reach people beyond your practice. I think it's an amazing way to grow your practice. So essentially, I got into it, as everyone does, just to stay connected with people. But then I wanted to authentically reach more people and help more people. Those people that don't know that it's Botox or filler or, certain skincare products that people are using that are game changers. And then, especially with COVID, when COVID hit, a lot of people reached out to social media for virtual consults, for skincare, things outside of that you couldn't do in office, but you were able to make an impact and make a difference with connecting with those people.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. And I always say like the way of new technology is like reaching the whole world. It's like social
Mhm.
media, Instagram, you can reach somebody in a different country. Do you get patients in a different country or people that reach out from different states and come and visit you?
I actually do because I had someone reach out on social media
Yeah.
in a totally different country, and I was trying to, recommend skincare products, and it was certain things weren't available in that country that I was recommending, so we had to, find a workaround. But I also think that that's amazing. It's
Yeah.
like the possibilities are endless, and the amount of people that you can reach and connect with and change their lives is endless.
I agree. I agree 100%. What are some must do skincare tips or must do skincare items that you can buy maybe for a beginner or maybe for someone that's not as versed?
Right. So you can always start with three simple steps in skincare, right? So wash your face, put on a good active, and then put on a good moisturizer. The morning moisturizer is going to be an SPF. There are so many, you don't have to break the bank for good skincare. And it also doesn't have to be that, the fad Korean skincare where there's 9 to 10 steps. So it could be super simple, it can be super affordable, but then there's some amazing holy grail products that work for most people that if you do want to splurge on them, you can, like SkinCeuticals CE Ferulic. That's an amazing vitamin
Mhm.
C serum. But then you have, CeraVe vitamin C that you can get at the drugstore that's just as amazing if you feel like you don't want to splurge on that. You've never tried a vitamin C. And then there are some amazing products at Sephora. Like I currently am using a sunscreen called it's Biossance. And I typically use Elta products, which are pretty affordable too, but I'm trying to branch out. There are so many options. And I feel like if you don't know where to start, just ask someone. Ask someone that is an expert in the field, a dermatology provider, or people on social media that are experts with it too. There are so many resources out there.
Amazing, amazing. I'm gonna try some of those too. But yeah, everyone always like you got to spend $1,000 of this and this and this. Just like I, there's other options.
Yes, there's hope for those people that are
Yes.
like, I'm not splurging on skincare. I've got other things that I need to pay for, and
Yeah.
that's totally fine.
Yes. No, I agree. I agree. Now, being in the industry, who are some I would say some people that you inspire or look up to or to contact when you need assistance or need more knowledge?
So when I need more assistance and knowledge, I have developed a really good skincare community within Instagram.
Nice.
I've have connected with Shannon Bruno and Amy Koberling, and Amy is a physician's associate. They're amazing people, like Skin Beauty by Sam. I did a whole series of lives with people that I am connected with on social media, Instagram, when I
Mhm.
launched my new website. So if you are looking for people to follow in skincare, definitely check those out. But as far as injections and aesthetics, I really love conferences. I consult with my supervising or fellow injectors within my practice. But I have more recently loved Aesthetic Blueprint. I don't know if you've heard of it, or if anybody out there has heard of it. I think that it's pretty well known, but it basically uses a calculated approach to injections and looks at the face as a whole. It takes in consideration skincare, injectables, but then it looks at it. You use the calipers for the golden ratio or phi to see where the position of your brow should be, where the length of your nose or the width of your lips or chin, things like that. So I'm a very type A type person. And I
Yeah.
feel like the way that injectables are going, some of us start to look the same. And the way that I like to inject, people, I guess, call it more New York than LA. There's nothing wrong with LA, but it's more of a natural enhancing your own beauty rather than everyone having the same cheeks or the same lips or, things like that, if that makes sense.
That's a good point that you just made. I would love to dive in that just a little bit deeper. So, like, I know you probably get clients that are maybe looking for something that's a little bit more than what you're willing to do. How do you kind of, what do you do in that instance?
So it's hard. There's a fine line to walk there, and I again think that's an important quality in an injector is honesty and saying, "Hey, I know you want your lips a little bit bigger, but in taking these calipers and showing you how big your lips should be in proportion to your face, we know that if we injected more, that would just be too much." And I'm telling you this because I don't want you walking around and people thinking, gosh, who did that to her lips? Why didn't anyone tell her that that was, too much? Because it's a slippery slope. I know firsthand. I get Botox, I get dermal fillers. It's so easy to say, this looks so good. I want just a little bit more. We've all been there. We've all done that. So you need an injector that's going to just say, that's too much. You don't want that look. And if they do, I'll just say, maybe I'm not the right injector for you, respectfully. I think you're beautiful the way that you are, and I don't think that it would benefit you to add any more to your cheeks or lips or, wherever they're wanting. That doesn't seem right to me.
Okay, perfect. Great, great, great. Yeah. I talked to many injectors say the exact same thing, so I'm sure. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about continuous education and training. I know that's
Mhm.
really big. There's new things always coming out, new advancements, new everything. What are some training or I would say some networking events or some classes that you can recommend for new providers or even experienced providers?
So I think there's a lot of great conferences out there, and you'll see a lot of injectors post about them, like Aesthetic Blueprint, or like I just recently went to Music City Scales. It's a very aesthetic conference. I think if you're just getting started, something like I did palette in the very beginning, but then I also did trainings one-on-one through the Allergan or Galderma reps. They're very gracious and amazing about setting those one-on-one trainings up for you. If you again are new, a cadaver course would be amazing. I just recently went to a conference in Miami. Actually, right before COVID hit, we went to a conference in Miami that was amazing, and it was more aesthetically geared. They had a cadaver course, and I think it's, if you don't have experience in surgical dermatology like Mohs or excisions, and you don't know that, I think that definitely a cadaver course would be perfect for you.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, no, I'm sure a lot of people will find value for that. I'm going to drop that information below so everybody can access that. But I get so many calls from new providers and they're like, how do I break into the industry? I'm having a hard
Mhm.
time breaking into the industry. I'm losing hope. Is there any advice you can give on the other side as far as like, I know you said about the training, but as far as like maybe getting a job?
Yeah. So my biggest thing is get your foot in the door. I knew I wanted an end goal of being a dermatology provider, as most people do, but I started as just a medical assistant. I did have a registered nurse degree, but I just wanted to get in. Once you're in at a plastic surgery office, a more like boutique setting, or even a dermatology office, they know you, they know your work ethic, and they'd be more willing to, hey, we'll hire them. We know that they're reliable. We know they're like they have an aesthetic eye, something like that. So even if it's not the ultimate end goal job that you want, just get your foot in the door. As soon as your foot is in the door, do those trainings, like start to learn, because it does take time. It does take time for you to get comfortable. But then when it's your moment and they say, hey, sure, we'll bring you on as a dermatology provider, a plastic surgery provider that helps with the supervising physician, or even just an aesthetic injector, you will have all of that knowledge under your belt, and it won't be so overwhelming.
Amazing. Yes. No, I think that's really sound advice. And I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us, speaking a little bit more about your passion. Can you tell everybody where they can find you and if they want to reach out to you, how they can get in contact with you?
Yes, absolutely. So my Instagram handle is Vanna Padilla _NP. I'm trying to be more consistent with content and get it out there for you guys. But then also, I do have a website that offers skincare consults. It's Your Skincare Expert, and we'll link that for you guys. If you just need help starting a routine, there's definitely different options for you. You can take a quiz, it'll spit you out a simple skincare routine, or you can Zoom call with me just like this. We can talk through it. But yeah, the best way to reach me would be through Instagram.
Amazing, amazing. How, tell me just before we log off, how has
Yeah.
that process been starting that up and getting that running and things of that nature?
It's definitely been a a long road. It took about a year to develop the website and then develop all of the software that goes with, I'm sure, like the e-commerce side of it, but it's 100% worth it, because I've been able to help so many people and that just don't know what to do, or they're trying to follow all the skincare fads on social media, and
Yeah.
it's not working for them, and they're not being consistent. So I'll take you through the process of selecting the right products for you, your skin type, what your concerns are. It's definitely been a long road, like I said, but it's been amazing and worth it, and I'm so happy with the end product.
Amazing, amazing. So I'm going to drop the link to that too. Make sure you check it out. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.